News and the Breeze posting on the website and the bulletin board in the municipal building, and filing with the township clerk. A subsequent notice with revised live stream information was provided on August 15th, 2023. An attendance roll call, please.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Here.
Councilman Pedroso? Councilman Ring?
Good evening. Here.
President Kirsch?
I am here, yes. If everyone would please join us for Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilman Norgales.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at number 4, we're going to delay minutes for approval. There seems to have been some uncertainty about the full distribution. So with everyone's consent, we will consider that at our next meeting. Moving to Township Council reports, I'll start on my right with Councilman Cordilla.
At this time, I do not have a report to make.
Councilman Norgales.
Thank you. I recently attended a Patriot baseball game as a guest of the Califer family and the RWJ Somerset Hospital Foundation. Even after Steve Califer's passing, his sons Josh and Jonathan carry on the philanthropic effort that their family has long been known for. This year, the autumn equinox, also known as fall, will begin this Saturday, September 23rd at 2:50 a.m. and will last until winter solstice on Thursday, December 21st at 10:27 a.m. Wow, summer is gone. Best wishes to our Jewish friends as they celebrate Yom Kippur this Sunday, 24th, as the most solemn of Jewish religious holidays, as Jews seek to expiate their sins and achieve reconciliation with God. This Saturday, September 23rd, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. will be the second and last bulky trash drop-off date for the Bridgewater Fall season. The location is 15 Polhemus Lane. Participants must have proof of Bridgewater residency, available for display at the side entrance, and no commercial vehicles, including rental trucks, are permitted. The township email system has suffered some issues over the last week, which has caused delays in employees, including council members, especially me, receiving resident emails. I assume I'll be back in by no later than Monday, so if there's a delay in me responding to somebody, I apologize. That is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Vice President Ring.
Thank you. This past Saturday, I spent some time at the bulky trash speaking with residents. Saturday was actually quite a busy day here in Bridgewater. Following the bulky trash, it was the Martinsville Community Center's Community Day held up in Martinsville, which I was happy to attend. And then later that day, the Commons Mall hosted Chinese Association's Light Festival in the mall, which I attended. This past Sunday was also a fall festival, which I was invited to participate in at the Al-Falah Mosque here in Bridgewater. As Councilman Norgales mentioned, this Saturday is scheduled to be the second of the 2 bulky trash days. For those of you who might not be aware, hopefully one is aware, we are potentially looking at some adverse weather this weekend and now sit in the 5-day cone of probability for Tropical Cyclone 16. So I would encourage you to watch the weather over the next couple days and have a plan for you and your family to be prepared should we have adverse weather later this weekend. That's my, and also, I'm sorry, just to mention on the bulky trash day, in echoing Councilman Norgales' comments, it goes until 1 o'clock. However, the last car has to be in line by 12:30 on Saturday. So that is my report.
Thank you. And, you know, it likely goes without saying, the most important thing is to be safe, residents and employees. So there's the possibility that event is altered in some way on Saturday. So in the intervening time since we last met, we had our 9/11 remembrance. The weather was not particularly cooperative that morning. The remembrance ceremony was moved to this room, and we followed a custom and tradition in particularly remembering the 6 residents of Bridgewater who perished that tragic day as part of the national remembrance of the 3,000 or approximately 3,000 deaths that occurred. Later that week, on Friday, the 15th, I attended a Realtor Roundtable that was hosted. Mayor Mensch hosted that. It was an opportunity to have an open dialogue concerning Bridgewater. It's many positives, along with some challenges that are faced by the Realtor community. I can summarize their greatest concern is there aren't enough houses for sale. So I know that there is a housing, generally speaking, there is a housing crunch. There are not necessarily enough houses to meet demand, and that is certainly the case in Bridgewater and is a particular concern of that group. As Council Vice President Ring noted on Sunday the 17th, I attended the Al-Falah Fall Festival, certainly very appreciative of that invitation and the very strong relationship that we've built with members of that organization. Yesterday, the 20th, I attended the Greenman-Patterson, also known as GPI, office opening over on Route 22. They have done some very meaningful and impactful transportation projects, and with great pride, much of that work will now come out of Bridgewater. And earlier today, I attended the reopening ceremony, ribbon cutting for the Lexus dealership. As everyone in the room will presumably recall, there was massive damage at that site and nearby locations from the flooding from Hurricane Ida. The township infrastructure, specifically the sanitary sewer, was severely impacted. The Lexus dealership, the Chevy dealership, the bridge, the Route 22 bridge over the Middle Brook, all severely impacted. And today was a milestone for Lexus, formally reopening their space, and it's beautiful. So anyone who has a need to be over there could certainly see the rebirth that has gone on. And that is my report. So Administrator Pappas, on behalf of Mayor Mensch, do you have any report to make?
Thank you very much. Later in the agenda, Sergeant Jamie Edwards from the Police Department, who is our OEM coordinator, will be making a presentation to summarize some progress that we've made in interacting with FEMA and a couple of other comments that he'll share. There are several ordinances to be introduced, and assumption is we'll have some conversations about them at that point. And then just draw attention, the last resolution on the agenda is the execution of the proposed agreement with the school district for SROs, school resource officers. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a proclamation, Adult Day Center of Somerset County. Is anybody here for that?
Apparently they have a fundraiser tonight.
Okay. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. Instead of going down to the podium, I'll read it from here to acknowledge the importance of the Adult Day Center of Somerset County. So this is a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor here in Bridgewater, New Jersey, a proclamation honoring Adult Day Center of Somerset County. Whereas the Adult Day Center of Somerset County was founded in 1976 as one of the pioneering day programs for older adults dedicated to providing unwavering support to families in central New Jersey, ensuring that no one is turned away due to disease progression or financial limitation, whereas the Adult Day Center of Somerset County has consistently delivered a full day of purposeful activities tailored to meet the unique needs of older adults and individuals living with dementia-related illnesses within a facility custom designed for this special population, with a mission that extends to the care and support of caregiving family members. Whereas September 17th to September 23rd has been designated as National Adult Day Services Week, providing an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the valuable contributions made by the Adult Day Center right here in Bridgewater, whereas the dedicated staff of the Adult Day Center of Somerset County have worked tirelessly with unwavering commitment and compassion to ensure that every member feels engaged, valued, and cherished, while also striving to ensure that their services remain affordable for all families, providing care at a fraction of the cost of commercial facilities. Now, therefore, Matthew Mensch, Mayor of Bridgewater Township, along with the Township Council and our community, hereby extend our deepest gratitude and honor the Adult Day Center of Somerset County for their outstanding dedication, service, and compassion towards older adults and individuals living with dementia-related illness, as well as their unwavering support for caregiving family members. We commend the Adult Day Center of Somerset County for their tireless efforts in making a significant and positive impact on the lives of our residents. Their commitment, care, and passion are truly exemplary and deserving of recognition. And we have the formal proclamation, which I've been reading from, which has been signed by our Mayor, Matthew Mensch, and we'll make sure that that makes it over to that organization. All right, so at number 8, it looks like Council Vice President Ring is going to turn the podium around. Thank you very much. We're a hands-on operation here. So I'll turn it over, I guess, Mr. Pappas, to you to introduce the conversation, the presentation by Sergeant Edwards concerning FEMA.
Thank you. As you mentioned earlier, a couple of years ago, we had a devastating hurricane and devastation to many homes, businesses, and public facilities. And since then, Sergeant Edwards, Bill Burr, Dickie Shimp, Tom Genova, multitude of other people have been engaged in following up very detailed reports, information, meetings to ensure that we are reimbursed. So Sergeant Edwards has really taken the lead on so much of this and thought it would be appropriate for him to give you an update.
Very good. Thank you very much for having me. I'll give you the update on Tropical Storm Ida. To date, we've been reimbursed by FEMA for just under $1.9 million worth in damages to our infrastructure. We also have an additional $800,000 in damages for our roads, which FEMA has initially denied. However, we've submitted an extensive appeal to that denial, and we're waiting word on that appeal from FEMA. So the total amount, we've submitted $1.9 million worth of damages, and FEMA has reimbursed us $1.45 million in damages to our infrastructure. And there's an additional $122,513 in management costs, which we'll be submitting shortly, and FEMA will be reimbursing us for that. That $122,000 cost may go up if we have a successful appeal for the $800,000, so we may get a little bit more back. And also, as Mr. Pappas said, I'm just kind of spearheading this. Mr. Burr and his staff and Mr. Shimp and his staff of providing all the information and really doing a lot of the numbers work and providing that to me, so I'm grateful for all their assistance.
So,
any questions on
the question? So I guess my question is, the 1.45 million is a substantial amount of that associated with the sanitary sewer?
Yes, that includes, we've been reimbursed for the sanitary sewer project, yes.
Okay, because, kind of bring two items together, the Lexus reopening earlier today, that is essentially adjacent to the Middle Brook, where there was absolute devastation from the power of water rushing down the Middle Brook, damaging the Route 22 bridge, taking out the concrete embankment that previously housed our sanitary sewer, and I think 70 or 80 feet of that sewer was severed, creating a potential substantial environmental hazard. Thankfully, I know this council acted within approximately 48 hours. I recall we had an emergency meeting by telephone and got the repairs going. It's certainly nice to see that at least some portion has been reimbursed. I know the Saturday morning after the storm, so I guess that was about 60 hours after the rain stopped. I know I was there. I think Mr. Pappas, you were there. There may have been others. I know FEMA was there, and they were passing out business cards and saying they were going to help us, and it looks like they helped us some. So I guess we can look at it as it's 3/4 full, or whatever the amount is, or it's 1/4 empty. I guess you know,
The amount, I believe, is approximately 90%.
Correct, they reimburse us 90% of the damages so far, so we're responsible for 10%.
Which is higher than their normal
Correct.
allocation.
Normally, it's a 75-25 split.
So the amount that we've received is for the Middlebrook sewer main and the embankment of Vossler Avenue up on the mountain. Those are the two major projects. We also had an initial reimbursement for debris that had been collected from various properties throughout town. And as Sergeant Edwards has said, we're still waiting on the requested reimbursement for 90% of the damage to the various roads. As he said, there's an appeal, and we've also sought the assistance of Congressman Kane to try to urge FEMA to seriously consider this.
And our partners at the Somerset County Office of Emergency Management and the New Jersey State Police have been appealing for us as well to FEMA, so cautiously optimistic.
and even though it's out of scope, I presume the state of New Jersey must be at least seeking reimbursement for the work on Route 20, the considerable work on Route 22.
Yes, I'm sure they have their own project. When we get the reimbursement, although it comes from the federal government, it runs through the state of New Jersey to the municipality, so that's why we have these different people in the process.
Okay, it sounded like a council, Vice President Ring, you had a question
I
or
was
comment?
just comment for, FEMA reimbursements, much like, I don't want to say they're an insurance company, but much like if you have an insurance claim at your house, there's a deductible. And generally that's 25%, but in this particular case, FEMA went to a 10%. So we cost share at 10%, which is better than normal for FEMA, but not, I'd be shocked if there was ever, they covered 100%.
Yeah, I'd be pretty shocked too.
Yeah,
Already.
so.
All right, so the glass is 90% full. Question or
If I
comment?
may, I want to commend the sergeant for his leadership on this. I attend the Emergency Management Committee, the quarterly meeting which he chairs, and he has been living with this issue for years. And he faithfully reports each and every year and agonizes over the amount that's been covered and the amount still to be covered. And I thank you for your leadership and backbone in continuing to push this. And I know others have participated with it, but you've been the person that had us pull the strings together, and I thank you for that.
Yes, on behalf of all of our residents, thank you, because certainly every dollar you can recover is a dollar that we do not have to spend.
I have a question. Jamie, with regard to the FEMA reimbursement, is there any word on the reimbursement to our fire and squad personnel who had expenses that day?
So that's handled I'm not sure if the fire district they submit on their own behalf.
Yeah.
So our submission to FEMA is on behalf of the township expenses and the damages to our infrastructure. So these expenses also include what we call emergency protective measures. So it's our DPW overtime. There's a minimal amount of police overtime. So those were also included in that number that I provided.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment. I think these comments have already been made from this group, but since we're talking about the day with the Lexus dealership and the repair of the bridge on Route 22 and so forth, I have to say, working with the utility companies and so forth, public service and so on, I think this township owes a debt of gratitude to Mike Pappas for the way he handled those groups on Route 22. We were told, well, it's the middle of next week or whatever, and we'll get the poles moved and do this. And Mike was saying, arguing with the PSE&G staff as, who do I need to talk to? And he did not accept, well, you're talking to the person. No, I'm not. Who's your manager? That's who I want to talk to. And the polls and everything was done the following day. And I think we all owe a debt of gratitude to Mike for his persistence at that time in getting the utilities and the work started along Route 22. Thank you, Mike.
Just to echo onto that, so the public, if they're not aware, the challenge that Mr. Pappas had was that there was power along Route 22, so it was considered a low priority for the power company. However, we had a ruptured sewer line that was discharging, creating health issues, but yet Public Service said, oh, no, you're a low priority.
And a bridge that was compromised.
Because it was power there. They made it a low priority, even though there was a health issue. So to echo to what Councilman Cardilla said, Mr. Pappas was extremely persistent with that.
Thank you.
May I take this opportunity just to provide a couple of brief remarks about preparedness in light of what Mr. Ring
Please do.
mentioned? Well, just want to let the council and all residents know that September is National Preparedness Month, declared by FEMA, and the Office of Emergency Management and the Police Department encourages all residents to take this opportunity to review your emergency operation plan for your household. If you don't have a plan in case something happens to your house, we strongly encourage you to get a plan together with your family. You can look on our police department website, bridgewaterpd.com, or the New Jersey Office of Emergency Management's website, or FEMA's website, ready.gov, for a template for a plan. Most important thing, like Mr. Ring referenced, is to stay informed. We have a potential for a major rain event this weekend, so please make sure that your devices are charged up in case there's a power loss. You have flashlights with batteries in them, and monitor the latest forecasts. If you have not already signed up for Bridgewater's emergency notification system, please do so. It's called the Nixle, N-I-X-L-E, and information's on the township website and the police department website, and residents can opt in for emergency notification messages. Also, we encourage you to register for your utilities emergency notification system, whether it's JCP&L, PSE&G, or New Jersey American Water, and you can opt in for text messages in the event of power outages or the loss of water service. And just finally, I wanted to update the council that the volunteers from our Citizens Emergency Response Team are training and working and ready to respond in an emergency. And we have about 20 people on the roster, about 9 who are truly there every quarter, and we've got some applications from the last Citizens Police Academy class, so we're a growing group. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stay safe.
If I may, I have a FEMA question. I'm going to direct it to Mr. Pappas, although Tom Genova will probably know the answer. When the pipe washed out, right
Knew
near
it
the
had to be
Lexus
about
dealer,
sewers.
the pipe was replaced. The state said they would armor the bank there to prevent that from happening again. And did they do it?
No.
Are they going to do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have had Mr. Genova, Mr. Burr, probably others have been regularly persisting in asking for that.
Because I don't want to have it happen again.
I know it. Yeah, they finally I think they completed the repairs to the bridge,
Yeah.
and that is the next, so we'll keep you posted.
Okay. By armoring meant put enough rock and stuff on top of the pipe so the confluence of the water coming under the bridge won't wash it out again. Because it makes a slight bend there, and that's what tore it apart last time. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move to opening to the public. Just before doing that, I want to acknowledge that we will be introducing 3 ordinances. We'll be discussing and then introducing. Presuming that they are all introduced, we will be having the hearings on those 3 subjects 2 weeks from tonight on October 5th. So that's when we would anticipate taking a deep dive into each and every one of those. Certainly, though, if those are topics that are on your mind today, when we open to the public, you are certainly able to comment on any matter, but just wanted to make sure from a procedural standpoint that that's what you can anticipate, the way that we will handle those 3 matters. So I would like to take a motion to open to the public. Members of the public wishing to address the council on any matter will be allowed 2 minutes to speak unless there are unusual circumstance. Do I have a motion for that, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are open to the public, as is the case every other meeting. If you could please come forward. We have a sign-in sheet so that we make sure that everything is properly annotated, and if you could also let everyone in the audience, both in the room and potentially online, know your name and address, and please address council on the matter that is of concern to you.
Thank you, Council President. Jennifer Lochran, 716 Falcon Court. I'm also the chair of the Parks Advisory Committee. On October 1st, pending any weather issues, Ingredion, a leading global ingredient solution company located in the Findern area of Bridgewater, as part of a team building and volunteer park stewardship effort, they will be installing a series of inclusive playground features at Chimney Rock Park. It is a wonderful, community-driven effort that would never have gotten off the ground had it not been for the engineering expertise, thoughtfulness, and follow-through of Mr. David Fine, who is a resident of Bridgewater and also here today. And he is the leader of this project and did all the planning and purchasing and coordinating. The Parks Advisory Committee is so honored to have been invited to collaborate on this. We were incredibly all on the same page from the very beginning. When we surveyed our playground equipment, we quickly learned that there were very limited inclusive and sensory play features in our parks. And I appreciate all of my fellow park members, but I would like to spotlight Melissa Ferreo, who is an educator and an expert in the field of sensory and nature play. Her contributions to this effort were amazing. During the planning process, we met with DPW and Mr. Fame at Chimney Rock Park to visualize the space and assure that there was enough room between features. While we were there, we noticed that the swing set had 2 infant swings, and we realized that we could change one of the swings to an adaptive swing that would make it accessible not only to infants or 2-year-olds, but also kids up to the age of 12. As it wasn't part of the original budget, we put together a fundraising effort. And during that effort, the community responded overwhelmingly. Within 2 days, we raised way more than we needed to raise. But the most remarkable part was everybody kept stopping and asking how they could get involved going forward. At the last meeting, I briefly spoke about this, and Councilman Nogales, you shared some thoughts about that, and I think you're 1,000% right. If we could create a dedicated fund, and we would, as a Parks Advisory Committee, seek the guidance of administration on that effort. At the core is not just the opportunities that we see at Chimney Rock, but also perhaps things that we could do in other parks. And they would benefit from community engagement. And I think that going forward, we could look to this project as an example of how to maybe do some of those things. One thing that I would like to request from the town that I do believe may be making its way through is considering donating a shade tree or 2 to this project, because Chimney Rock gets a lot of sun and there's very little shade in the park area where we are putting in these features. Again, I just want to thank all who were involved, but most especially Mr. Fine and the employees of Ingredion. And I want to invite you all to come October 1st to see the effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pappas, can we follow up with that shade tree request?
October 2nd.
October 2nd. Okay.
Do you have a time, Jennifer?
8:30 to 3.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your contributions in that important area. Anyone else wish to address council tonight?
Hi, Kathy Branco, 766 Weemac Road. Just to clarify, are you expecting us to hold any comments regarding any ordinances that are being introduced? Or will you offer that opportunity when they're introduced, or only when they come up for vote in 2 weeks?
Our procedure here is the public hearing will occur in 2 weeks. If someone wishes to comment on any of these, they can do that now.
Okay,
or
so
hold
they can
their-
only do it during public comment now, correct?
This would be the only time, correct?
Okay, so
Tonight.
let me start
Tonight.
by begging your forgiveness. in the fact that you limit public comment to 2 minutes, where both the county and the Board of Education offers 5 minutes for comment. Also, both the county and the Board of Education offer the opportunity for individuals to comment remotely, and I would hope that this council would figure out a way to offer that opportunity in the future. You did during COVID. Both the Board of Education and the county commissioners have figured out a way to allow individuals to offer public comment from home or remotely. I'm sure you're well educated, and we have a wonderful Office of Constituent Relations. We've invested over $100,000 in electronic services in this township. I'm sure there's a way for us to do it. And during recent in situations where members of this council have not been able to attend in person, they have been given the opportunity to participate remotely. So I would hope the same opportunities would be offered to the public. My next issue is the master plan. I appreciate the educational videos which are being provided every Monday to the public. However, I am questioning when will an invitation go out to the public to participate in the master planning process? When and how will the public be invited to offer their suggestions? Because I have not seen that. I have not seen send your input to here, or show up for this meeting, or come to this community gathering, or we're having a town hall meeting. I think that individuals are very interested in the master plan in this township. I think there's a lot of concerns. Things have happened in this township with the warehouses, with the billboards, with what took place a year ago with the billboards, the rezoning of our public land for commercial to allow a billboard to be placed on it, which this council has not retracted. So therefore, that still sits out there. And yes, I, for one, and many other individuals in this community are fearful that that is going to be reintroduced after the election. My next issue is Jamie Edwards and the Office of Emergency Management. I appreciate everything that they do. I appreciate everything they have done to try and recoup dollars for this township. Mr. Kirsch, you spoke about tonight the devastation to Route 22 corridor, the sewer plant, the Lexus dealership. However, what, if anything, has this administration and council done to address the flooding in the area of Gray Bar Drive and the homes south of Foothill, which are south of Route 22 and subject to the Cuckold's flooding? And then, moving on to the ordinance that's being introduced this evening regarding the short-term rentals. When I read through it, it referenced only the R50 zone. The R50 zone is over an acre of land. Every member of this council and every elected individual in Bridgewater lives in an R50 zone. So is this only for the privileged individuals in this township, or is this for everybody? Now, I know that through cross-reference of all of our codes, this does also go, it cross-references to, excuse me, I have to pull out my notes, to the R40, the R20, the R10, the R10A, but where it says the principal permitted uses and conditional uses in this zone are subject to the same as those in the R50 single-family residential. So I'm wondering if this ordinance is therefore going to apply to all of those others, because otherwise I think we're doing a gross injustice to those areas that otherwise fall outside of the R50. And we're taking a elitist attitude. And that's just my humble opinion. Thank you very much for your time.
Anyone else wish to address council tonight? I'd actually prefer to continue to hear the public, close the public, and then...
We need to come back then.
Good evening. I'm Cynthia Freund from 1367 Coriel Drive. So first I'd like to start out with something really, really pleasant. I'm the, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and can
So-
you also...
Close it up.
Yeah,
I'm the,
make sure that you've also written everything down so that
I
we
will.
have that for our record.
so I'm the chaplain at the Somerville Elks, and I just wanted to thank Mayor and Council for that wonderful proclamation about Patriots Week. I'm also, my husband and I are both members of the Americanism Committee, and we work hard to foster Americanism and patriotism among our members and among the community. So I wanted to thank you guys for that proclamation. But I also wanted to speak about the short-term rentals. And I think that, we walk a slippery slope when we write legislation that limits the freedoms of people in order to maybe, I think what we needed to do was to look closely at the laws that were being broken rather than writing more legislation. And I think if what happened was that laws were broken, maybe enforce the laws. And if there was bad behavior that was breaking existing laws, maybe work to enforce those laws rather than write more. So, and in as much as I don't know exactly what happened, that was the impetus for all this. So I'm sort of speaking hypothetically. I'm kind of glad that we're only limiting the freedoms of a small group of homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to address council tonight? Last call.
Move to close public input.
And is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, any commentary from the dais before we proceed?
I have a comment. While I appreciate Ms. Franco's comments, I think she's off the mark. I'm not aware of any council member that lives in an R50 zone.
I definitely don't.
Nor do
Nor do I. I think,
Not a single one does.
I live on 6,500 feet, and that's public record.
and as far as Gray Bar goes, I've been in Gray Bar for a number of years looking to get Cuckold's Brook cleaned to eliminate flooding in the English Court area, and we're limited by state regulations as to what we can do to Cuckold's Brook. That extends pretty much beyond Gray Bar Court and Drive and all the way over through Adamsville Road. So it's not that this governing body in past administrations and the current administration have ignored the flooding problem with that area. It's, in many ways, our hands are tied with what can be done, where we would facilitate fines from EPA, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Pappas, if we were to go in and start disturbing the brooks.
Was there a comment or question,
I was
Mr.
just
Ring?
going to echo Councilman Cordella's comments. I think there was some inaccuracies stated here tonight as it relates to the short-term housing. I do not live in an R50 zone, so I think those comments were misconstrued.
All right, well, we'll have that commentary in just a few moments. The one thing I'd like to address is we have two school board members in the audience. I know one was showing reaction to the fact that to the statement that the school board permits commentary from individuals attending who are not in the room, and it would appear that is inaccurate. You do need to be present in the Board of Education meetings in order to participate. So moving on, we do not have any public hearings and final action.
President, if I could just make one comment about the master plan. We have started a very detailed plan to provide information to the public. It's referred to as Master Plan Mondays. There is an itinerary that has been coordinated by Ms. Mader, and there are plans, very specific plans, to receive public input through various means, and that will be announced in due course.
Okay, thank you. So as I stated, we do not have any public hearings and ordinances to act upon tonight, but we will have a nice full plate 2 weeks from now. So 11A, this is an ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Bridgewater, Chapter 126, entitled Land Use, by adding a new Article 20 to be entitled Short-Term Rentals. Mr. Pappas, can you provide overall commentary on what is in this ordinance and what the thought process is, please?
Sure, I can, and if I leave anything out, Mr. Corsini, I hope will fill in the blanks. Council has had extensive conversations about this over the last several months. There's been considerable input from the public, varying vantage points, and because the most egregious scenario and location of where we are aware of violations of existing ordinances is in the R50 zone. And we have exercised enforcement through our zoning officer, through our construction official, and our fire marshal, and those are ongoing. But those require time, and it requires enforcement through the municipal court. And this governing body, this administration, does not have direct control over the schedule of the municipal court, nor do we have any control over the ability of the municipal court to enforce certain measures. And so the administration has, through Mr. Corsini's office, proposed this to, again, address the most egregious example of violation of what I think we all have viewed as the general intent of existing ordinances for the township. And would like to just make one other comment. I continue to meet with various staff members on a regular basis. We meet probably once every 10 or 14 days to review this entire topic. There are concerns that situations such as this might be taking place elsewhere. We had some members of the public here a few meetings ago, and one individual mentioned that they operate a business and they have rentals of dwellings that I think we have some sense of where those are located. And we are actively investigating these to determine how accurate the rumors are, or come back eventually to the mayor and certainly this governing body with recommendations based upon facts. And that's why we're here today, for this proposal that we've put forth for your consideration.
Thank you. Anything to add to that, Mr. Corsini?
Nothing, Councilman Kirsch, Council President Kirsch. As you know, this is, and as Administrator Pappas well stated, this is an ongoing process. The property where by far the most complaints are is in the zone in question here, the zone where no member of this council lives. Yeah, as to anything else, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. But this is very targeted stopgap remedy, and these discussions, as Administrator Pappas said, will continue well into the months to come to craft a remedy that's right for Bridgewater. This is to solve a very specific problem in a very specific neighborhood.
Thank you, and I'll just provide this commentary and then give everyone else on the dais an opportunity as well, then we'll go to the vote. I really pride ourselves on being problem solvers. I think it's what Mr. Pappas and his team do each and every day. I know it's what we do on this dais. And it's turned out, you know, as we've peeled back this issue, it's become complex. Various components, definitions, enforcement, potential registration, all these matters have come forward, and all will be addressed. I think that the concern is we need to get it right, but with that said, we want to, without question, stop the bad behavior. As Mr. Pappas pointed out, we certainly can go the enforcement route. What's even better than the enforcement route is the prevention route. And that's, if I'm not mistaken, what we hope to accomplish here as a first step in the location that seems to be attracting this behavior. But this is certainly not the last time that we anticipate focusing on this. So any other questions or comments before we go to vote?
I'd like to comment that while I agree that this is a very difficult issue to deal with, I'm disappointed that this evening we're voting on an ordinance the way it's worded. While I understand the intent to work on the immediate problem that is located in a R50 zone. I believe, as I have stated from this seat, and my co-committee members have stated, we represent almost 47,000 people, and most of them do not live in R50 zones. And we all share the opinion that whatever we do in legislation for our town of Bridgewater, it has to affect everybody. And when we do vote on this evening, I will be voting with the knowledge that this is not the final step in this process. As Michael, as you've just stated, this is it's a very difficult piece of legislation. I would hope that our legal team will be getting the next revision to us sooner than later, so that we can finally stand up and address this for all residents and all zones in Bridgewater Township.
Thank you.
I'd like to offer a comment also. Everyone here on this dais, including Mr. Pappas, understands that when I read the draft of this and I saw R50 in there, it gave me pause, because I, like Councilman Cardilla, I'm elected by everybody in the township, and from my perspective, this sounded too much like spot zoning, and I realize it's not under the classical sense, but one of the things I shared with President Kirsch was, I said, I could support this if it were time-bounded, if it expired in February or something, to force the issue to go back and address the entire township. I understand that that's not possible because this is a land use ordinance. Quite honestly, I will not support this. I don't live in an R50 zone. In fact, I don't think anybody does here. But anyway, Ms. Franco, I do agree with you that specifically allocating this to the R50 zone doesn't feel comfortable for me. I would rather wait and spend the time, whatever time it takes, to make this thing happen for the entire township. Thank you.
Any comment?
Yes. I think similar to many of the comments here, I firmly believe that we need to come up with an ordinance that addresses this issue overall. And it's a fine balance. We've heard even tonight, some folks feeling that residents have a right to use their property. And then on the flip side, we have folks using property and turning a home into basically a boarding home with, 10 different apartments in it, with tractor trailers up and down the street at all hours of the night, parking, people knocking on the wrong door, trying to check into their bed and breakfast, so to speak. So, and every time we think we make a change on the ordinance to fix something, a day later we realize we created 3 more questions that we have to go back. So it is not an easy fix. I firmly believe that we need to get it right, but I also understand we have 2 or 3 problem children in the township that are creating some issues as it relates to our residents. So we have to balance that here. I will support this with the understanding that this is a stopgap measure. Pardon me for the EMT relation, but we have some bleeding going on. We're putting a Band-Aid on when we need to come up with a tourniquet and fix this problem overall. But as a stopgap measure, short term, I will support this.
Thank you. So I will move 11A. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, if we could have a roll call vote.
Councilman Kudilla,
Yes.
Councilman Nogales,
No.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
President Kirsch.
Yes. And if we could both set the public hearing and explain the process whereby this will be referred to the planning board as well.
So the public hearing for this ordinance is scheduled for October 5th here at 7:30 p.m. The public can inspect this ordinance on the township website and also by contacting the clerk's office. This ordinance will be presented to the planning board on October 2nd for the 3rd, October 3rd for their referral.
Right. Tuesdays, Mr. Ring?
It would be the 3rd.
I'm sorry, October 3rd, it will be presented before the planning board for their referral, and then we'll have a public hearing if everything runs smoothly on October 5th.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving to 11B. This is an ordinance amending the Code of the Township of Bridgewater, Chapter 206, Vehicles and Traffic, to add the park and ride facility that is at Lot 1, Block 173, located at the intersection of Milltown Road and Route 22 East, to the list of restricted parking areas within the Township of Bridgewater. Mr. Pappas.
The property in question has been a vacant parking lot that I believe was originally envisioned to be a park and ride for commuter bus users. And for a variety of reasons, I understand the design of the lot and the ingress and egress did not allow for the safe passage of buses, and so it has basically remained an empty lot. We've seen lately various trucks or tractor trailers or tractor cabs parked there. There have been, I've personally noticed Corvette car shows that have cropped up there on Sundays, and picnics and people learning how to parallel park, just a myriad of things, but the parking of the trucks and the cabs, I think, are of the greatest concern. And so this ordinance, again, Mr. Corsini can correct me if I'm mistaken, would allow the Township Police Department to enforce that prohibition of those vehicles.
Yeah, if I could, I'll recognize Councilman Norgalis, because he's the one that brought this to our attention.
I want to thank Mr. Pappas for the immediacy and the police department, because literally within hours of the identification of a tractor trailer that had been, I would say, abandoned. It was there a number of weeks. The police department traffic unit was there, found out that the registration of the truck had expired. They were unable to contact the owner and towed it and resolve that problem. This has been a vexing issue for the local residents there because, as Mr. Pappas said, there have been a number of pop-up activities, and I'm proud to say that I think this resolves that. And with that in mind, unless there are another...
Well, I have just one quick comment, and then I'll recognize you to introduce. This facility does have a design flaw. Buses, in fact, cannot get in and out of it effectively because of turning radius. The site was very briefly used for bus service, express bus service to Manhattan, if I'm not mistaken, in or around 2017.
One bus in, one bus out.
One bus in, one bus out, and even that limited capacity was not could not be found, and that was abandoned after only a limited number of months, if I recall. I know that was before you came into your position, Mr. Pappas. So, I want to thank you, Councilman Norgalis, for your raising a hand and getting attention to this, and I'll recognize you to move 11B.
I do.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second.
Some questions.
Oh, okay, questions?
Yes, sir. Can we just, I'm very familiar with this location. I guess my question is, do we own this, or is this where we were entered into a lease?
It's a lease.
When does the lease run out?
It's a long lease. I don't know the exact time. It's like
Okay.
a 99-year lease.
I'm sorry?
Like a 99-year lease.
Okay, so we've got this for the foreseeable future. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, if we could have a roll call vote, please, on 11B.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes,
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes, I think also, I apologize for the public's benefit, there's also some cleanup in here as it relates to some terms at the high school, middle school parking as well, just east-west type stuff. But I think public should be aware of that, but yes.
President Kirsch?
Yes, and if we could set a date
Sure, the public
to hear
hearing.
this matter.
The public hearing has been scheduled for October 5th at 7:30 p.m. here in the municipal courtroom. The public is welcome to inspect this ordinance on the township website or by contacting the clerk's office.
Thank you. Moving to 11C. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 26 entitled Personnel Policies, Article 32, Sick Leave of the Municipal Code of the Township of Bridgewater. Mr. Pappas, and it looks like we also have Christine Madrid in attendance if there are any additional questions or expertise needed.
Correct. This is a proposed amendment that we have been instructed by the state of New Jersey that has asked every municipality to revise any existing ordinance to adhere to state legislation that lays this out. From the time that, I couldn't tell you the exact number of years, but our research has shown that from the time that legislation was enacted, the township has been following these procedures, although the ordinance was not formally adopted, providing for that amendment.
Any other detail needed?
No, if you have questions, be happy to. I can try to, and Mrs. Madrid is certainly our HR manager, can.
I'll move 12A.
Well, let me go with any questions first. Let me start on my left and
No.
no questions. Any questions or commentary to my right?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I'll take a motion to introduce 11C.
11C, so moved.
Is there a
I'll second
second? Hearing a move in a second. If we could have a roll call, please.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes,
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Kirsch?
Yes, and if we could set the date for that as well.
Public hearing for this ordinance is October 5th at 7:30 p.m. here in the municipal courtroom. The public can inspect this ordinance on township website or by calling the clerk's office.
If I can just make one comment, I was remiss in not thanking Council Vice President Ring and Councilman Cordilla, who served on a subcommittee, and we had a meeting with Mrs. Madrid, our labor attorney, and that was very helpful to seeing this come back to the council.
Thank you, and thank you for that incremental effort. Moving to resolutions 12A, award to Data Center Warehouse, DCW, located at 23041 Avenida de la Carlota, Suite 325 in Laguna Hills, California, 92653, to purchase 6 GTAC tablets and accessories for Ford Police Interceptors totaling $22,104 to be funded through the 2023 current fund. Mr. Pappas.
Chief Mitzek is here, and if he can step forward to maybe briefly describe what these devices are. I think I know what they are, but I would rather him highlight this.
While the chief is coming forward, one addition, this is under state contract, so this is not a public bid issue. This is under state contract.
I believe this one, sir, was up for, we did obtain 3 bids for this one. The 12B is the one that's under state contract. I believe Motorola is the one under state contract. This one is we obtained 3 bids.
12A is not under state contract?
No.
So if it's not state contract, was it publicly bid?
Yes.
The resolution's got 3 quotes in it. Mr. Council President, maybe we do 12A and B together since we're discussing them.
All right, let me read B, and then we'll take the conversation together. B is award to Motorola Solutions, P.O. Box 161, Wharton, New Jersey, 07885, for mobile video recording equipment for 4 police Ford SUV Interceptors totaling $39,600, and that is funded through the 2022-23 current fund. So I guess, Chief, if you could comment on both of them together.
Sure. They're back in December of 2022, the council authorized us to purchase 6 new police vehicles. These are now the equipment that's needed for these police vehicles. We still have not received those police vehicles, but we're anticipating hopefully October to receive them, and then we can put this equipment in. The GTAC is the computers that we use to run plates and get dispatch screens from, and the Motorola MVRs are the mobile video recorders that are in all the police cars that go simultaneous with our body-worn cameras.
Refresh my memory, how many cars did we buy, or are we buying?
6.
We have 6 on one and 4 on the other.
We like to reuse equipment when we can.
Okay.
So that's why we're We ask-
So we're able to reuse some of the cameras.
With regards to 12B and the issue of the state contract, the amount, and I just am seeing this now myself, but the amount is $39,600, which is below the bid threshold. So we wouldn't have to be publicly bid, we would just need the quotes, and as Councilman Ring referenced, there are quotes here. I too was under the impression this was a state contract, but it is of no moment because it is below the bid threshold, as long as we got the second quote. Frankly, we only needed 2 quotes, so there's no issue with it, no issue with it.
It's a confirmation.
Doesn't even need to be a resolution, but it is.
I'll move 12A
Well,
and B.
just before we do that, a confirmation, Mr. Pappas, that this money is properly available through our budget process. All right, thank you. I think I heard a motion to my left. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so we're going to take 12A and B together on a roll call, please.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Kirsch?
Yes. C, thank you very much. C, this is a resolution for Bridgewater Township member participation in New Jersey Cooperative Pricing System of Educational Services Commission of New Jersey, ESCNJ, whereby ESCNJ is the lead agency under contract 65 MCESCCPS. Is that self-explanatory or is additional commentary needed?
Self-explanatory.
I'll take a motion to,
Do we still have Rose Witt listed under paragraph 1?
No, I think it was edited.
That was
Been fixed.
corrected.
okay, so 12, I'll take a motion at 12C.
I'll move it.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Ring? I'm sorry, Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Throwing me for a curve, yes.
President Kirsch?
Yes. D, this is authorizing the sale of various items which are listed in the attached schedule of municipal personal property owned by the Township of Bridgewater through the County of Somerset in the manner of a public and/or internet auction. I believe that's self-explanatory. A motion?
I'll make the motion, just want to clarify when it says municipal personal property. Some items are municipal surplus, and some are personal items that are unclaimed or evidence being disposed of, unclaimed. So it's a combination of both, but I'll move 12D.
If I may, a couple of years ago, we had a discussion. I questioned personal property, and it turns out that by definition, the township stuff is considered personal property.
Anything that's movable is personal property under the law. If it's not movable, it's real property.
Oh, so a house is not movable.
It's your real property.
Anything else is
That's your real,
movable.
the stuff in your house is personal property. This is personal property.
But I just want to
Sitting
clarify.
is real
You can
property.
take it home with you.
Yeah.
Some of
You
the
can move
stuff,
it, it's-
some of the
The
stuff
floor
is
is real property,
municipal
the chair.
surplus, and some of it is
Gray area.
unclaimed.
The floor is a gray area, 'cause I could rip the floor up.
Okay. All right, it seems that we can go to a motion at 12D.
So moved.
Second.
Second, and a roll call, please.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Kirsch?
Yes. E, this is authorizing Township of Bridgewater to bid at the sheriff's sale to be held on September 26, 2023 for the foreclosed property located at 1108 Pinhorn Drive in Bridgewater, New Jersey, which is also known as Block 164.06, Lot 1108, in an amount not to exceed $50,000 to be funded through the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Mr. Pappas, an explanation, please.
This unit is within the stock of affordable lower moderate income housing units. There's a foreclosure in an effort to ensure that this property remains within the affordable housing stock. This is, on a very rare occasion, is undertaken. The intent would be for, if the township does end up purchasing this through the sheriff's sale, we would then put it up for sale, and we would expect to be able to obtain more than what we would end up paying. I think the mortgage is about $43,000. The amount that this property should be permitted to be sold for would be, I think, $92,000 or $93,000. So we would expect to be able to sell it for that amount, and again, remain in the affordable housing stock for township.
And for clarity, the reason why we're talking the numbers we are is because there is a deed restriction.
Correct.
And it's important that we retain that deed restriction. because if the bank takes ownership of it and it's not deed restricted, they would be able to reap a significant, probably this house would be worth in excess of $300,000 if it was sold on the open market, so.
And would create a -1 on our
Right.
ledger for
We have to protect
affordable
everyone.
units.
With that in mind, I move 12E.
Okay, is there a second, please?
Second.
Okay, a roll call on, was there a question?
I just was going to comment. I think it's important, Mr. Pappas was able to help arrange a call the other day with Mr. Grandek from Mr. Corsini's office. There is a consent order that protects this house as a COA unit through the end of its current term of 2039. I guess I have two questions. One is, have we been able to get any eyes on the inside of the house to know what the overall condition is?
No.
Okay. And I know from reading the memo that was prepared, we needed confirmation from the administrative agent as to what our resale price would be.
Yeah, I don't have that here. It's around $92,000 or $93,000, is the approximate number.
So we're potentially looking at purchasing a home for, we'll call it $50,000, that we have a max resale of $98,000. We don't know what the inside is, what we would have to do to get it market ready. If we do nothing and it goes to sheriff's auction, it remains as a COA unit through 2039. So the upside to this is we could make maybe $40,000, depending upon what we have to do on the inside, and we get a new 30-year term on COA.
The other, yes, you're absolutely correct. All that information is accurate. The other reality, what we have found is if units remain vacant for extended periods of time, especially depending upon the complex and the other adjoining properties, the concern from adjoining residents becomes real, and that requires interaction with township staff. They have legitimate concerns about these matters, and we end up getting involved anyway. And by trying to obtain ownership and be able to manage the quick sale can minimize the amount of time that staff spends in interacting with neighbors.
And we have a list of applicants, so it's not the case that it would remain.
Correct.
And
Thousands of people that are interested in purchasing these units.
just to clarify the intent, I know there was some, we could gain some additional COA units if we were to rent this. Is that something that is actively being considered?
No, we do not. I don't think
Thank
the
you.
council wants the township to become a landlord for.
In the conference call Mr. Pappas and I had with Mr. Ogrodnik the other day, I said, I don't want to be a landlord, because if the water heater leaks in the middle of the night, they're going to call somebody.
that was my
Maybe
question.
nobody up here, but they're going to call DPW, and then Mr. Genova's people have to go out there and be a headache. So, and I'm not aware of any cases outside of the political leases of portions of this building that we're a landlord anyplace else. So I'd like to keep it that way.
I'm not even sure we should be buying it, but so I completely agree.
Okay, if that's the conversation, if I could have a motion at 12,
So moved.
12E, please,
Moved.
and a second.
I'll second it.
All right, a roll call, please.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
No.
President Kirsch?
Yes. At letter F, this is authorizing the execution of the Police Services Agreement for School Resource Officers, also known as SROs, with Bridgewater Raritan Board of Education, the board, which is located at 836 Newman's Lane, also at P.O. Box 6030 in Bridgewater, New Jersey. Mr. Pappas, please.
This is almost an identical resolution and agreement from what was adopted by the governing body last year. The only change is represented in a slight increase in the dollar amount because of the increase to the police officers per their collective bargaining agreement.
And just a question, because, sometimes rumors get spread in the community. A rumor found its way to me that the statement is being made, Bridgewater is only paying for SROs through the end of the year. Now, that's because we've only budgeted through the end of the year, correct? We are not, right, the council that reconvenes on or soon after January 1st will adopt a temporary budget. So, you know, while I guess there's some technical justification for that position, there's no money is expended yet for 2024, correct?
Correct. The chief is here. He wants to answer, and I'll fill in any blanks that he may forget.
You said SRO.
Yeah.
What you're voting on tonight is for the school resource officers. What you were referring to was the Class 3 officers.
Okay, that's where the rumor is?
Yes.
All
You
right.
heard the rumor, Councilman. So was it SROs or Class 3?
Again, I'm not sure which rumor I heard, but I want to clarify for anybody, you know, either in the room or elsewhere, that it is.
This is an SRO agreement, and we should just.
You know, whatever commitment we make, but that legally speaking, from a budget standpoint, we operate year to year.
Yeah. If you heard a rumor about the SROs, this is a year-long agreement for the SROs. Thank you, Chief.
But contracts, extend from one year to the next.
Yes, this contract
This is a
runs
contract through the school year.
July 31st, 2024.
Thank you. Commend Councilman Kurz for debunking that rumor. We could move on from that.
This,
I'll move 12F.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call at 12F, please.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales? Yes. Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Kirsch?
Yes. Now, I don't believe we have a closed session. We do have a closed session. Okay, I will then need the resolution associated with the closed session and guidance on whether or not we are anticipate any action following the closed session. Okay. Okay, then the subject for the closed session, please. Contract negotiation. Okay.
Do we expect to take action?
We do not expect to take action following the closed session, with the exception of adjourning. So be it resolved by the Bridgewater Township Council that this body will now hold a closed meeting to discuss contract negotiation. When and if matters discussed become public record, this will be made known to the public at that time. The public is excluded from said meeting, and further notice thereof is dispensed with, all in accordance with Sections 8 and 4A of the Open Public Meetings Act. I'll take a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and a roll call, please.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Kirsch?
Yes. All right. Thank you for attending. Suzanne, you'll tell me when we're broadcasting? We're broadcasting? All right, having concluded our closed session business, I need a motion to go back into open session.
So moved?
Is there a second? Do I need to roll?
Second.
No. Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, having reached the end of the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
maybe.
We're adjourned. Tom, the item I called you on earlier today.